Hello, and you're very welcome along to another Stuff the JMac podcast. I'm John Mann. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by orgarich.com. Use promo JMac podcast to get 15% off on the website. Coming into the quarterfinals of the All Ireland Football Championship and the final of the Tailteann Cup very, very soon. So get yourself organised on orgarich.com. There's so much gear up on there and get yourself sorted. And tonight, I'm joined by Gaelic statsman Matthew Hurley to talk about all of last weekend's Tailteann Cup and Championship action, and of course, this weekend's All-Ireland quarter-final. So hard to believe we're at this stage already, Matthew. The year is flying and we have the All-Ireland final next month. Hard to believe. Matthew, how are you?
Yeah, all good, John. I suppose in good form, but this weekend wasn't really the best in terms of my teams. Obviously, Cork getting beaten yesterday, and Scotland are out of the Euro 2024 as well, so not great this weekend. But look, it's moving on to the quarterfinals now. Some intriguing games next week, especially the likes of Armagh and Roscommon. Can Armagh get that bottling mentality out of them? Kerry Derry's an intriguing call, and definitely Derry with the 8 days rest will definitely suit them next week. Galway Dublin's a big game as well. Louth, it'll be interesting to see how they fare against Donegal too. So yeah, looking forward to chatting about the games and roll on the championship quarterfinals.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we have the All-Ireland quarterfinals this weekend, and both of our counties have not got even as far as the quarterfinals matches, so very disappointing. And of course, you made the trip down to Inniskeen yesterday. How did you enjoy the day out? Obviously getting bet, but did you enjoy the day as a whole?
In fairness, it was nice weather, and to be honest, Inniskeen was surprisingly very, very good facilities wise, like in parking and everything like that. Easily got into the ground, and there was parking up in the hills and everything like that. So it was actually well set up. In fairness, by the Inniskeen Grattan's club, but the game itself was drab, obviously. No real tempo to it in the first half up until Cork scored that goal. And then from a Cork point of view, John, it was just disappointing the way we performed in the second half. We were very slow, lethargic on the ball, and there's a lot of damning stats that we took yesterday, and they don't read well from a Cork point of view. But from a Louth point of view, it was actually great to see Samuel Roy get that last minute kick. And I was thinking actually, the Leinster final where they should have won that Leinster final, coincidentally, was on the 11th of July. The All-Ireland semi-finals are the 16th of July. Wouldn't it be brilliant, John, if Louth got to the All-Ireland semi-finals that very week to mark 14 years after that instance? So,
oh, Christ, yeah, I know, yeah.
I think it would be massive for the county of Louth. And obviously they reached their first ever quarter-final. Look, they were almost in tears afterwards, and you have to feel absolutely brilliant for them. Craig Lennon, I said it before and I'll say it again, outstanding at wing back yesterday. Tommy Durnan deserves a lot as well. Bevan Duffy, I heard on GA goes 37 years of age, and to get to the All-Ireland quarter-final finally is brilliant from his point of view as well.
37, so, Jesus.
That's why I heard on GA go, yeah. I was surprised to hear it as well. But
yeah.
But yeah, it shows that the Louth players, they've been around the block for a long time. And I suppose a lot of Louth players wanted to shut the beady up after Joe Brennan coming in, Mickey Hart going out. And for them to reach an All-Ireland quarter-final to stay up in Division 2, I think it's a miraculous achievement for a tiny county like Louth. And you have to say well done to them and for getting to the quarter-finals. And they're there on merit.
Yeah, and it's funny. I was talking, or I heard, I think it was on Twitter, or maybe some of the guys in GA were saying that it's the biggest county against the smallest county, and obviously it was Louth's day yesterday, and obviously that game definitely could have went either way, but we'll touch on to it now in a couple of minutes. And I suppose, Matthew, good to see you're in good form, thank God, and as usual, that is the main thing about life. And the GA Duddy Football Team of the Week was announced this morning at 11 o'clock on the GA Duddy website. This week's team is Galway's Conor Gleeson in between the six, a full-back line of Louth's Donal McKenny, Cork's Daniel O'Mahony and Roscommon's David Murray, and then a half-back line of Derry's Gareth McKinless, Derry's Brendan Rodgers and Louth's Craig Lennon, and then a midfield of Galway's Paul Conroy, and then Cork's Colin O'Callaghan, and then a half-forward line of Galway's John Maher, Roscommon's Donny Smith and Derry's Ethan Doherty, and then a full-forward line of Roscommon's Dara Craig, Roscommon's Jeremy Murta, and then completing the GA team of the week for this week is Derry's Lachlan Murray. And then the GA Tailteann Cup team of the week was announced this morning. Also, you had Laois's Killian Roach, full-back line of Downs, Pierce Lafferty, Downs, Ryan McAvoy, and then Sligo's Eddie McGuinness, and then half-back line of Antrim's Declan Lynch, Laois's Brian Byrne, and then Sligo's Dara Cummins, and then a midfield of Laois, Kevin Swain, and then Downs, Owen Murdoch, and then a half-forward line of Downs, Liam Kerr, Antrim's Patrick McBride, and then Sligo Sean Carpine, and then the full forward line of Laois's Mark Barry, Down's Pat Haverin, and then Laois's Evan O'Carroll, and then the GA.ie Footballer of the Week nominees for this week are Derry's Lachlan Murray, Roscommon's Jeremy Murtagh, and Galway's Paul Conroy. Obviously, a lot to chew the fat on there, Mr. Hurley. Who'll be your player of the week for this week? Who would you tip your hat to?
It's a tough one. Dermot Murtagh was outstanding for play for Roscommon, 4 points, and he's been very, very good all year. He scored actually 1 goal at 22 points, maybe even going in under the radar as an overperformer for that Roscommon team. Paul Conroy has given so much to Galway, but for me, I don't know, was it just me watching the game, Derry and Mayo, but Lachlan Murray was absolutely superb. Every time he got the ball, he looked very, very threatening. I think out of all his shots, I think he took 5 shots overall on Saturday night and converted all of them. Like, he's just an incredible player. And when Shane McGuigan was a bit off colour, Conor Glass is a bit off colour, Brendan Rodgers is a small bit as well in certain games, they needed a guy to step up this week, and they did. Lachlan Murray, what a man to do that. I don't think he's my player of the week as well. And it was a decent enough team of the week. I was kind of shocked not to see Jordan Flynn in the team of the week, actually, because he took a huge bang in the first few minutes, and then to score 2 points, including the equalising score in extra time, I think shows character from the lad. And I think he probably should have been on team of the week, if I'm honest. No surprise about the car players of the team of the week. Daniel O'Mahony and Colin McCallan are 2 by far standout players throughout the day. Craig Lennon, Donald McKenny were absolutely superb from a Louth point of view. Conor Gleeson has got a lot of flack from a Galway point of view in goal as well, and produced another good performance. Conroy, as I said, like Dolly Smith, Dara Craig, maybe Enda Smith possibly deserved a place as well, dominated around the middle for that Roscommon team too. So yeah, I think you could have pretty much no qualms about the team of the week. Jordan Flynn is my probably only player that you'd feel unlucky by, and Lachlan Murray is my player of the week.
Yeah, I think Jordan Flynn was brilliant against Derry at the weekend. He kind of emphasised everything that was probably right, and maybe about that Mayo performance at the weekend. It's the way he was driving forward and finding pockets, and he kicked a very vital score near the end as well. And it kind of reminded me maybe of the Lee Keegan of old from Mayo, driving up the field and getting all these important kicks. But again, Mayo fell short when it was most needed. And Kevin McStay said after the game that they probably need to start finding ways of seeing out games and winning these tight sort of games. So yeah, another year done for Mayo, and an All-Ireland title really does look as far away as ever, Mr. Hurley. It does have to be said. Suppose, Mr. Hurley, as usual, we can crack into the action. Yesterday in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship preliminary quarter-final, it was Louth against Cork. It was Louth 1-9, Cork 1-8 in Inniskeen. I suppose, as we were saying a couple of minutes ago, you were down at this game, Mr. Hurley. You made a day of it. The weather was absolutely incredible. It was an unbelievable day for football. It was a very poor game. Let's not beat around the bush. Very, very low score, and we probably thought it was going to be a bit higher than this. You had some incredible forwards on show. You had your Sam Mulroys, you had your Brian Hurleys, you had your Sherlocks, but my God, I don't know how we really how it all just came to this. Obviously, Sam Mulroy coming up with the free at the end, very good leadership. It was a good score to win the game for Louth in the end. Jared Brennan delighted after the game. As you were saying, it's great for Louth football. Am I right by saying it's a first All-Ireland quarter-final for Louth?
Ever, yeah.
Ever. So that's that's a remarkable achievement as well. The game could have went either way. Obviously, you were at it. You were kind of seeing it kind of up close and personal. The wee bits and bobs are going on, but watching it from afar on GA go, it was not pleasant viewing. But look at, we said before, this is probably going to be like a counselling session for you. Shoot.
Yeah, look. I've ranted and things like that about the Cork team throughout the year, but look, it's just a disappointing result. Like, to score 1-8, I think John Cleary mentioned in the post-match interview that isn't good enough to overcome a team like Louth, who are going to get 10 scores or more throughout the game. And I suppose our shooting or possession keeping was very, very poor. We converted 42% of our shots, which isn't good enough. There was 4 instances where we kept the ball for over 2 minutes, 2 minutes or over, without getting a score off it. And usually in intercounty, that would actually be regarded as a good kind of thing to do, like to keep the ball for that amount of time. But it's useless when you don't convert the chances afterwards. And it was just the same story with Cork as it was at the early stages of the league. Hand pass the ball backwards, hand pass the ball sideways, rinse and repeat. And you know what? It was boring on the eye to watch. And when you look at the polar opposites between the two sides, Cork were hand passing the ball backwards, no penetration in their play, no decisiveness. And when you look at Louth, when they turned the ball over, they broke at pace. And to be fair, they got a few goal chances in that second half. And then Conor Grimes had one where the ball went in behind them. Could have easily ended up at the back of the net there. Paul Matthews running through on goal, plays it over, could have ended in the back of the net as well. And Louth, all their good work came to a head late on in the game with Donald McKenny's goal. And what I will say about the goal itself, like Chris Kelly has been absolutely outstanding all year, and I'm just disappointed that happened for him, because like he was really, really good against Donegal, good against Tyrone, good against Kerry. You couldn't have asked any more from him, and the error was going to come sometime, and it just came, and his defenders just weren't there to clean up the mess, and it was just unfortunate from Chris Kelly's point of view. He's had an outstanding year. He could hold his head high, but yeah, it was a bad error to make, and obviously Donald McKenny stuck at home. But even after the goal, I think there was a moment in the game. We were 1-8 to 1-6 down. First of all, Owen McSweeney goes through on goal, blazes it straight at Darragh MacDonald. Should have ended up in the back of the net. We should have gone back in front. Chris O'Jones, gets a point. Then he gets a point after pushing up at the low kick out. But what I noticed after that second point from Chris O to level the game, Cork players started to retreat. They started to concede the short kick out to Louth, and that's what they were doing the whole game, because like Louth had 3 long kickouts of their own kickouts, and Cork won 2 of those. So surely this isn't rocket science to say that Cork should have pushed up the kickouts at the start and just put pressure on this Louth team. They pushed up on one of their short kickouts and it ended up at the score for Chris Oak. But yeah, look, there was a lot of opportunities, but there was a lot of things wrong with the Cork play. The possession obviously pushed you up at the kickouts. Just wasn't enough decisiveness. Our forwards weren't on form. Stephen Sherlock himself only took 1 shot all day, which for his standards isn't really good enough. Brian Hurley took 2 as well. Not really good enough from his point of view. And yeah, it was just a poor day all around for the Rebels. And funnily enough, actually, Paddy Kelly mentioned, the former Cork footballer, on the Irish Examiner on Saturday, the day before the game, that it is much better for Cork, rather than win this game and get a weekend in Croke Park next weekend. It's important for this team to get to Division 1, because we've been starting Division 1 now for 8 years, 8 seasons. It'll be 9 seasons next year, and we should get out of it next year with the likes of Roscommon there, Monaghan, Louth themselves, Cavan, Meath. We should easily probably get out, looking at the players that we have at their disposal, and we have to get out of Division 2 next year. I think that's going to be the main aim for John Cleary. And there's always going to be the question as well, John Cleary, will he leave his post now? He was interviewed by Barry O'Mahony for the Echo after the game, and he was just tight-lipped. He was saying, we'll let this settle first and I'll contemplate my decision in the next few weeks. Look, I'm probably still on the fence with this. I just believe that, he was a good manager for Cork over the last 2 seasons, and he needs to be given a bit of light in this. And to be honest, I don't really know who instructs the Cork players to pass the ball backwards or to not push up on the kickouts. I don't know who it is. Is it Kevin Walsh? Is it John Cleary? I obviously can't say. I'm not a fly in the wall in the dressing room, but yeah, something has to give in the next few seasons. And the football we are playing at the moment, John, is really, really poor. And to be honest, maybe it's better that Louth are in the quarterfinal next week, because they play a better style of football. And well done to Louth for getting through. And it's a historic achievement for them, beating Cork for the first time since 1957. Mulroy wasn't at his best, but Craig Lennon, outstanding at wing back. He scored 4 goals and 6 points now from play, which is an absolutely outstanding tally for a wing back. And Donald McKenny, as I mentioned, brilliant performance from him. Tommy Durnan. A lot of them have been around the clock for so many years now. For them to get to the All-Ireland quarterfinal, I'm delighted for them. I'm delighted for their fans. And hopefully Louth enjoyed their time in Croke Park next week.
Yeah, no, it is great for them. It was powerful to see it. We're joined by Kerry journalist David Byrne after all this time. Davey, how are you? We can't hear you. Jesus, that is some way to start, isn't it? That is some way to start. We'll get him yet. We'll let him sort that out. No, that is obviously very, very good point you made, Matthew. And I suppose obviously, the game itself, and you're talking about kind of John Cleary, staying or going, and I think he seems like the right man to lead that project forward for the Cork lads. And obviously Cork, have had a slightly, big overturn of managers in recent years. So personally, I think he probably is the right man. And I think the important thing for you is Kevin Walsh, keeping Kevin Walsh on board.
Possibly so, but at the same time, is he telling the players to play defensive football? Is he telling the players to push back?
Mm.
If so, it's not a nice style of football to watch, John, and we're not gaining anything out of it. Because when you look at it for the cold light of day this season, yes, a lot of Cork fans and a lot of Cork journalists would have gone out and said that after the Cavan loss, we beat Fermanagh and then we got on a good run after that in league and championship. But when you look at it in the championship, against Limerick, we were behind at half time in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and that's a Limerick team that are Tailteann Cup standard. Kerry, we played well against them in Killarney, but we only got 13 scores, which isn't really high enough. Against Clare, we struggled to beat them at Cusack Park. And against Donegal, yes, brilliant performance. First win or first loss for Donegal all year, but at the same time, when you look at it, cold light of day, we scored 3 goals. On another day, we wouldn't have scored those goals. We would have got about, let's say, 111 or 210 or even 12 points itself. So, like that is low scoring from a Cork point of view to get that amount of scores as well. And obviously the Tyrone game last week, I think this game was disappointing. The Tyrone game last week was frustrating, John, because that was the chance to get an All-Ireland quarter-final space wrapped up and secured. We just didn't do it. We weren't decisive enough either in that game. And if things went a bit differently, we might have done a bit differently as well. But look, it's a disappointing year. The lads have to brush down and look at themselves this year. And as well as that, not just in senior and minor, under 20, hasn't been a good year for Cork. Under 20, we got absolutely hammered by Kerry in the Munster final. In minor, we got absolutely obliterated by Kerry by about near to 20 points. Against Mayo in the All-Ireland quarter-final, not really good enough either. And you just wonder, like, is it seeping down that Cork football is on the decline? You look at the underage, since Keith Rakin has gone, it hasn't really progressed as much. And that's a worrying sign from a Cork point of view, in my opinion. And something needs to be done. Like, Conor Croonan has left the football development role now. Who's going to come in there? And as well as that, we brought in a 5-year plan in 2019. By 2024, we were supposed to be up there, challenging the likes of Dublins, the Kerrys, the Mayos, the Tyrones, the Donegals. We're nowhere near it now. We're top 12. That's our level. Our level is Louth. Our level is Cavan. Our level is Meath. That's just our level, John. And until we get to the Division 1 and stabilise ourselves in that division, will always be seen as a side at that level. And that's why it's so important next year just to go up to Division 1, to play against the likes of Mayos, the Kerrys, the Tyrones on a regular basis each and every week.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that these Cork players need to, experience. And a lot of these players haven't played in Croke Park much either. Like, I think Colin Buchanan, for example, I was chatting to my dad last night about this, and I think we've calculated, I think it was about 2 or 3 times he's played in Croke Park. Yeah. For a player of his standard, that isn't really good enough. And these players need to play in Croke Park more often as well and play the top opposition. So a lot of soul searching to do with Cork over the winter. And the first thing is, will John Cleary stay on? And then the players, will Brian Hurley step away? Will Rory Dean step away? Thomas Clancy, John O'Rourke, will they have time left on the clock? Like, it's a lot of thinking to do for Cork over the winter months. And yeah, you'd be just hopeful from a point of view as well, the likes of Blake Murphy will come back into the team, because he's a sort of guy that we needed yesterday, that extra zealous about him, like extra step about him. He's a class act of a footballer. And you just wonder, if we had him at our disposal on the bench yesterday, could things have been a bit different? And he just stepped away from the panel because he wasn't getting enough minutes, and the style of football didn't suit him, which is a shame. He's a class footballer. We can't let these footballers slip through and grasp either. And yeah, again, there's a lot of soul searching to do for Cork in the winter, and it does start with seeing if John Cleary will stay on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, very well summarised, Matthew, and obviously it'll be interesting to see where Cork can get a go next year. And I suppose, that probably is where they are at. Maybe are like Cavan's level, Meath's level, and obviously Cavan. Cork, very, very tight league game this year. So that probably is a very, very fair and honest summation of everything, Matthew, and well said. So on Cork, obviously Cork are done for the year, and obviously going forward next year, 2025, it's going to be a long break for them. So back to go to the clubs and get as much game time as possible, I suppose, before the 2025 season starts next year, Mr. Hurley. And I suppose we can crack into the action that took place Saturday in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship preliminary quarterfinals. It was Mayo against Derry. It was Mayo 112, Derry 15 points in McHale Park after extra time. And then, of course, Derry won 4-3 on penalties. I have to say, Matthew, as I was watching this in GA Go like everyone else, and I just said, and me and herself were watching the game together, I just said, it doesn't matter a jot. Mayo are going to lose these penalties. They're so unlucky. It's going to be heartbreak again. One or two of them's going to miss the penalties, and look what's after happening. So I just thought when it went to penalties, no, this is not going to end well for Mayo. You basically knew what was going to happen. Kind of like Armagh with the penalties at the minute. Good win for Derry. It's funny, obviously, you're looking at the analysis after the game, and people comment on the game, and all is well in the world, and Derry's back, and Mickey Hart's the Messiah once again, so on and so forth. But look, I think Derry Kerry this weekend will be an interesting game. It'll be interesting to see Derry get back to the high standards for that game. But this one on Saturday night, again, probably not a game for the ages. We probably expected a good bit more, but penalties, cruel way to go out again. And obviously Aidan O'Shea, talk about him, potentially he shouldn't have been brought off and could have been brought on again. Maybe Kevin McStay probably look at that this week potentially. But look at more heartbreak for Mayo once again. God, you just have to feel for their supporters at this stage.
You would, and at the same time as well, this weekend they also lost the minor to Armagh by 7 points, so it wasn't a good weekend to be a Mayo fan. I'll have to say, and that minor team are very, very fancy, to be fair. But you have to give credit to Derry. Look, they did step up. There was a lot of question marks made about their temperament more than anything, and would they be able to produce a performance at this stage of the championship? And you say what you want, they've lost 3 games in the championship, but they're still there. They beat Mayo. Like, you have to give a lot of credit to them. And it's heartbreaking from a Mayo point of view, because it seemed like they had the game wrapped once Ryan O'Donoghue stuck that penalty away in normal time. But then, obviously, Derry built from the back, and I suppose from the Cork standpoint, they held the ball for 2 minutes with nothing. You look at Derry, they held the ball for a long, long time, and then Chrissy McKay in the right position, fists over the bar, extra time. And that's probably the difference between the big sides and the smaller sides. And to be fair, Lachlan Murray, as I mentioned before, absolutely outstanding performance. Shane McGuigan stood up as well at times. Like Emmet Bradley, I thought was excellent as well. Owen McAvoy, Chris McCaig himself, who went under a lot of criticism, in fairness, from the Derry supporters in the past few weeks, but in fairness to him, stood up to those doubters and played very well. One fella I wanted to mention, like Owen Lynch, like, to be fair, he had a very good, poor performance in the last few weeks against Armagh, obviously, against Donegal, where he got caught for them 3 or 4 goals. But in this game, he stood up, he had an aura about him, and in the penalty shootout, he's just a goalkeeper that you just don't want to face in the penalty shootout, because him at the goal is so threatening to any forward. You looked at the Ulster final against Armagh, like, some of the Armagh players were scared to take a penalty against him. The same for Mayo. Like, it was just, he has that something about him in penalty shootouts where he's going to be the star of this game. And to be fair, really good performance from Derry. And obviously, fair play to Mickey Hart in the post-match interview. Actually, he said that penalty shootouts might not be the way going forward. He felt sorry for Mayo, obviously. Some people are for them, obviously. Some people are against them. I'm still for them. I think they're better than a free-taking competition. How else are you going to end the game? But it's just unfortunate from a Mayo point of view that they lost this way, considering they were in control of it. Jordan Flynn, as I mentioned, was absolutely outstanding, obviously, with the bang to the head that he took earlier, and obviously to get 2 points. Like Tommy Conroy at stages was very good as well. Aidan O'Shea gets a lot of flack, but he held that Mayo team together really well as well. But yeah, ultimately it was just deja vu ultimately for Mayo, and like, their shot selection was very, very poor as well, 52%. To be fair to Derry, in extra time included, 60%. Which is pretty good for a side that have been struggling over the past few weeks, to be fair. And yeah, I think Derry deserve a lot of credit for that. Like, their kick-out strategy was very, very good as well. Mayo had more turnovers than them, 20-16, but at the same time, Derry's use of the ball, as I mentioned, for the Chrissy McKay point, was on point, and that got them over the line in the end. And yeah, to be fair, they go into the Kerry game next week. They might be battered, they might be bruised, but the 8 days rest might do Derry good. And yeah, they might even beat Kerry. Kerry are still a very good side, don't get me wrong. But Derry will definitely fancy their chances going into Croke Park next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and obviously it was a very good confidence boost for Derry. Obviously, getting over the line. I think, in fairness, it probably have came in for a lot of criticism, especially Oran Lynch, obviously the goalkeeper for Derry. He's came in under a lot of flack and criticism in recent weeks. Obviously, Mickey Hart's came in with a lot of criticism. And in fairness, I was obviously watching the post-match analysis for Derry in the last couple of games, and I'd say it is probably very difficult for players and management and so on and so forth to block out the Twitters, block out the Facebooks, block out the WhatsApps. And I know maybe you can delete the apps and so on and so forth, but I'd say it is very difficult for all involved to avoid all the noise. But look, this is the modern era, Mr. Hurley, and it's hard to stay away from it completely. And they will move on to Tyrone against Roscommon. It was Tyrone 12 points, Roscommon 14 points in Healy Park. And I suppose, Mr. Hurley, again, yeah, it's like I'm kind of repeating myself at this stage. We're probably not a game for the ages. Very, very good win for Roscommon. Obviously, a great win against a very decent Tyrone team, especially going away from home. Davy Burke was delighted after. Tyrone, I think they will be very disappointed this week. I think it's kind of, I know obviously Brian Dewar was kind of extended with the contract there, and I was quite surprised when he probably did get this year extra, a couple of years extra, him and Fergal Logan. But Con Kilpatrick was obviously freed up to play in this game, Friday night there, and probably made not much of a difference really. But yeah, Tyrone will be very disappointed. But look, Davy Burke, he's finally getting probably a nice time of year to be getting finally getting a kick out of these Roscommon lads.
You have to give Davy Burke and the Roscommon team a lot of credit, because they came in for a lot of flack, especially after the semi-final defeat to Mayo and Connacht. But to be fair to them, like against Dublin in the group stage, there was good signs in the first half that they are a progressive enough team. Like, yes, they had a very few scores itself, like Conor Cox, Dermot Burton and Darragh Craig were the only 3 scorers that day, I believe. But they have improved game on game. Like against Mayo, they did very well. Obviously, Cavan, they beat them by 2 goals. They got over the line, that one. And in this game, like, to be honest, John, it was kind of frustrating that this game was on at the same time as the hurling and Galway Monaghan. So it was kind of hard to keep catching up with it. But look, that's the GA and spreading their game and things like that. But look, that's a conversation for another day. But I was shocked to see on Scorpio or score apps at halftime, it was 9 points to 3. I was like, whoa. Roscommon seriously have a chance here. Like it was an incredible scoreline to get at half time. Like Donny Smith and Dermot Murtagh scored 8 points between them for play, which is really, really impressive. Conor Cox had a good performance as well, and so did Darragh Craig. Like Darragh Craig, I've said it before, I say it again, in Sigurdsson Cup level, and for Roscommon underage and senior, the guy is a class act. For UCD, he was brilliant in the Sigurdsson Cup this season, one of the top scorers in that. And he's definitely transferred his form onto the Roscommon team. There have been rumours over the past few weeks that he is transferred to AFL. Hopefully, from a GA point of view, that he does stick around, because he's an outstanding footballer and definitely want to watch the next few seasons. And they will fancy their chances going to the Armagh game next week. I know Armagh have probably better players than them, but Armagh have always a tendency to mess up. And Roscommon, like, they'll be waiting in the wings. So who's to know? Like, if Roscommon take the game to penalties, we all know what's happening there, John.
No, you said it, not me. You said it, not me. In case anyone chases after us this week, one.
I'm getting a lot of trouble from Johnny Murtagh this week, but look, look, from a Tyrone point of view, it's very, very disappointing. Like, after the result against Cork, 2 wins on the boats, the first time they got that since 2021, you thought this Tyrone team were turning a corner, and they just didn't get out gear in that first half, and that was ultimately the difference in the game. Like, and not many other scores really set alight. Like, it only took Owen McElhone, one of the under-20s, the started under-20s, to come onto the pitch and produce something for that Tyrone team, which just tells you the senior players weren't necessarily at it, which is a worrying thing. It is a really worrying thing from Brian Dewar and Fergal Logan. And on the management team, is that the last we'll see of them? Because we said this time last year against Kerry that these guys could leave the Tyrone post. It's another failure of a year. Arguably, they have gone backwards since that Kerry game. So is it time for them to hang up the whistle? We'll have to see. We'll have to see from a Tyrone point of view. But it was just very, very poor, especially, Con Kilpatrick on the bench at the start didn't add much when he came on. And that was just very, very flat for Tyrone. And I heard Sean Cavan on RT Radio 1 commentating on it. the deflation in his voice just tells you all you need to know about the performance. It was just flat. It was lethargic. It wasn't the Tyrone of old. And it was just disappointing after the performances they have been giving against Clare and Cork and against Donegal in the Ulster Championship, not the group stage, this season. And it was just a disappointing game from a Tyrone point of view. And yeah, they're out of the championship now. Who would have saw that coming?
Yeah, and like I think there is a lot of potential in that Tyrone team still. Like you have Rory Canavan, you have Dara Canavan, you have Darren McCurry, you have Conkle Patrick, you still Brian Kennedy, you still have Michael McKernan, you have Matty Donnelly, you have Paul Campsey. Like you have a hell of a lot of good footballers there. So I think they're probably, and obviously with this mighty under-20 team that's coming through, and obviously I'm winning another All Ireland Cup, a lot of kind of players coming through for that team now. Like, but I just think there is a lot of potential. But I don't know. I think it's is it getting to the stage where Brian and Fergal are getting the best out of the Tyrone team? I'm not too sure. You never know what's going on behind the scenes and bits and bobs. But no, I think there is a fine team there, and it'll be very interesting to see next year, Mr. Hurley, what will happen. Obviously, Fergal Logan, obviously probably in recovery mode at the minute, so he's probably not about as much, and maybe Brian Dewar probably have to do a bulk of the work in the recent weeks. But we will see next year, Mr. Hurley. It'll be interesting to see. And then we on Saturday in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship preliminary quarter final, you had Galway against Mayo. It was Galway 14 points, Monaghan 11 points. Monaghan's season is done for another year. Big talk point from this game, obviously, Mr. Hurley, was that Conor McManus potentially announced his retirement, and my God, like everyone was tweeting about it and going on about it, and then I got a lot of tweets in during the week, when I put the tweet up, Johnny has retired, and don't be putting words into my mouth. I was literally only going on what other people were saying, so don't shoot the messenger. Everyone had it up. I think I know you probably put something up maybe in your social media, and then I put something up, and then it just like what's that saying? Lies or not lies, but rumors obviously grow legs. But Conor McManus officially hasn't announced his retirement, but he did say there isn't probably much fuel left in the tank. But look, if this is the end of Conor McManus in the Monaghan jersey, my God, an absolutely incredible footballer. This is coming from a Cavan man. Anytime he played against Cavan, he ripped us apart on numerous occasions. So Conor, if this is the end, remarkable. If you can do another year, fair play to you at that age. But look, it's so funny the way people like to get ahead of themselves, Mr. Hurley.
I suppose fake news is the way to go to say on social media, isn't it, John? Look, it's to be honest, like I put it up, and obviously I wanted to pay the respects. Obviously, Conor McManus, excellent footballer, down through the years he's played with Monaghan since 2007, had a high scoring rate as well, and it was just it's just a shame that he hasn't got that elusive All Ireland medal. He hasn't even got to an All Ireland final, and most likely the best player ever not to reach an All Ireland final. And I'll say that, like, he's an absolutely outstanding player. And he was just I genuinely thought he retired, but no, he spoke to Patrick Mulcahy at the end of the game, and he said no, that isn't the case. And it was just I obviously, if he does retire, I obviously want to wish him well in his future for Clontibbers in his club, obviously in Monaghan, and in future years as well. I'm sure he'd make a fantastic pundit as well. He's definitely one of the Sunday game need, but he's an absolutely outstanding player, and even for him to get 2 points late on in this game as well just shows his class, and he's just an outstanding player for Monaghan. And maybe we'll wave goodbye to a few Monaghan players like Darren Hughes. Obviously he got that injury against Cavan, hasn't played since. You would wonder that's probably the last of him. Rory Beggan put up an eyes emoji on Instagram. I'm not sure what that means. Is he going over to America? Is he retiring? I don't know. So it might be the last we see of him. Ryan Wiley, another lad that's knocking around the block. A few other players as well. Like it's Daisy Ward, obviously. Like there's a lot of them Monaghan players, the core group, that could wave goodbye towards the end of the year. And it's just an end of an era. It really is sad. Like Kieran Hughes obviously retired. Carl O'Connell, will he hang up the boots as well? Like it's just a difficult time for a Monaghan fan, a difficult time to be a Monaghan fan, but reasons for optimism. Like Barry McBennett has done well in the last few games in midfield. Micheál Bannigan, Gary Mohan are still young players. So the key is to develop those players and make sure hopefully they'll be as good as the likes of McManus and Vinnie Corey and all them brilliant players down the pass for Monaghan. And it's just a transitional period for them. Poor enough year, but look, they have to bet in these young players now to go places. As for Galway, look, it's a case of job done. I don't think Power Joyce would have even cared about the performance. So I just think he would have said, get over the line, lads, get to Croke Park next week, and preferably don't get any injuries. The Shane Walsh injury, John. Like, it's almost like, I think Brendan Cummins said this about a hurling team a few years ago. I think it was Waterford, and this applies to Galway as well. If they had ducks, they'd drown, because you look at it.
Yeah.
Shane Walsh, ankle injury. Damien Comer obviously gets stamped on by Dart McKinless against Derry. You Keane Darcy, excuse me, Keane Darcy getting a bit of a niggle in the past few weeks as well against Armagh. Sean Mulcairn as well. Like, Matthew Tierney injured at the start of the year. Like, it's just a never-ending cycle of injuries for Galway. You just hope that all of them will be fit enough to go to Croke Park against Dublin next week, because by God, they'll need them. They'll need Shane Walsh. They'll need Damien Comer, even
Yeah.
to beat Paul
Yeah,
Conroy as well.
because I said to you guys earlier on, I genuinely think if the pair of boys are fit, but I genuinely think, well, fingers crossed, they will be fit. But I think if Comer's ready to rock at the weekend, I give God. Look, I still think Dublin probably will win the game coming down the stretch, but I think if Comer is fit and ready to rock, I think I think Galway will be very close.
I think they will be. Like, 1 to 15, they actually look an outstanding team in fairness. Like, the full back line's very, very strong. Johnny McGrath has had a brilliant man marking year all season. Sean Fitzgerald is a big, strong, powerful player, full back. Jack Lynn, and that's in the full back line now, and Conor Gleeson doing well behind them. In the full forward line, Robert Finnerty's one of the top scorers in the championship at the moment. Third, I think, behind only Samuel Ryan. I don't know who I have to check that stat again, but he's been absolutely superb throughout the year. He even got an injury niggle over the last few weeks. It's crucial that he's fit in the next few weeks as well. If you have a full forward line of Walsh, Comer, Finnerty, and you play McDade out at the field, you play Paul Conroy out the field, you have Matthew Tierney in the half forward line, that's nearly an unstoppable team for Galway. On paper, it looks a really, really good team. And the key is for Pádraig Joyce, it's just unlucky for his standpoint, obviously, with the amount of injuries they've got. But if they just get all them players on the field at the same time, I just feel like Galway could be a threat for anybody in the championship. It's just a shame that they have the 7-day turnaround against Dublin now next week. I just have a feeling they might tire and Dublin might run amok on them. Like, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope Galway put it up to them next week. But it's just a lot of things to turn around. Obviously, 7 days, like Tyrone at 7 days against Kerry last year got absolutely mauled. Mayo the same against Dublin, 7-day turnaround, got mauled. So you just question, are the preliminary quarterfinal winners going into next weekend under the radar a small bit because of the the fitness and the 7-day turnaround? Obviously, Derry have an 8-day turnaround, which would suit them, but it's going to be tough for any preliminary quarterfinalists next week to get over the group winners. And in Galway are no different. Obviously, the players that they do have, if they get them all at the same field against Dublin, they have a serious chance. But it's about just keeping the energy going from a Pádraig Joyce point of view, and just putting that Monaghan game to the back of their heads now. Just get on to the next game against Dublin and go from there.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously, there will be a change in the card down in Monaghan. I'd say, I think. I'm not too sure now. I wonder with Vinnie Corey, will he stick about next year? It'll be very interesting to see, and it'll be very interesting to see, like, what replacement might come in there. I wonder will Conor McManus maybe get the whistle around his neck. It'd be interesting to see if he could go maybe in as a forwards coach, or if he does pack it in with Monaghan. But yeah, it'll be I think, as you say, a lot of change happened for Monaghan, a lot of transition maybe. And then the other thing is, from an underage point of view, very much a Cav, and I don't know, does Monaghan have much coming from the underage end of things either. From their point
of view. The thing is, John, did they win the all? They got to the All-Ireland minor final last year.
Yeah,
so there is players coming through.
Yeah. So look, 100%. Like, and I think there will be a lot of change and a lot of experience leaving that dressing room potentially, and it will be very interesting. I think, when Rory Beggan came home from America, when the transfer or the move didn't go to plan, I don't think we even seen the same Rory Beggan. I think he kind of threw his backside into a lot of them games, for a lot of them. So I don't think we've seen, unfortunately, from maybe definitely from one end things, but from a neutral point of view, Rory Beggan just didn't look like the same Rory Beggan before he left. But I think there will be definitely a lot of change in the modern end of things, make no doubt about it, for 2025, Mr. Hurley. And hopefully we might see Conor McManus back in a Monaghan jersey next year, but we'll wait and see. He owes nothing to Monaghan football. He knows nothing to GA fans. So, Conor, if that is you done, it's been an absolute pleasure. And if it is, enjoy the rest. And we will move on to the Tailteann Cup semi-finals that took place yesterday, Mr. Hurley, in Croke Park. It was down against Sligo. It was down 120. Sligo 215 after extra time. A fantastic game of football, Mr. Hurley. Really, really good advertisement for this competition, has to be said. Obviously, if teams keep taking this competition seriously, I think it'll keep growing and growing and growing. Conor Laffey was absolutely delighted after the game. Tony McAtee, in his after-match, post-match comments, he just kind of said, obviously, the better team won. He was very gracious to the feet. It was a remarkable game of football. nearly like a hurling game with how high scoring it was. But look, Down, very, very happy with the win. And I think Down will win the competition now. But what do you think?
Yeah, they've been my favourites from the start of the Tailteann Cup in my eyes. And I was saying from the start, if they get in the Tailteann Cup, if they don't reach those to final, I think they'll win it, because they have some outstanding players in that team. And I calculated their scores, and I think they've over 20 different scores in this competition alone, Down, which is absolutely incredible. And every player's staking claim throughout the pitch. Even Caleb Mooney coming back into the panel has done really, really well. Daniel Guinness has done well since the league campaign. You've Roy McGill there, Danny McGill. Obviously, Pat Hayward scored 22 points himself and has done really well in that forward line. You have Sheelan Johnson, obviously Oisin Savage, who did well in the under-20s last year. So Down have a very nice panel. And yesterday was just about getting over the line, because Sligo are a very good team themselves as well. Pushed Galway all the way in that Connacht semi-final, obviously. And they were by no means going to be pushovers in this game. Like Niall Murphy, Sean Carboy, Patrick O'Connor. There are some very good players in that Sligo team. And Tony McEntee, what a job he's done with them. And that is how football should be played. And a lot of people were questioning, why is this Tailteann Cup semi-final taking precedence over the hurling quarter-final. To be honest, I think this was much more entertaining than the hurling quarter-final, because of the scores in it, because of the jeopardy. Like, it was just a brilliant watch, and both sides going at it hammer and tongs. I just think it was a brilliant watch to see that. It was just unfortunate, the red card for I think it was Nathan Mullen for Down, going into extra time. Like, it was just, I don't know, would you give that as a red card? Like, I've seen similar challenges and they were given as yellows and not even a card given. So yeah, it's a harsh one. It's a harsh one from a Sligo point of view to take. But look, it is what it is. And Down progressed to the final as well. Or Murdoch again was stepped up to that penalty really well. Liam Kerr outstanding with 3 points for play. So Down have some brilliant players all over the pitch. Conor Laverty seems to be getting a tune out of them. They pushed Armagh all the way in the Ulster semi-final as well. They look a serious team. And to be honest, I think they'll win it as well. They've been my favourites at the start, and I think they'll go ahead and win it as well. So, brilliant game of football. Fair play to Sligo for really putting it up to them. And they'll be charging for promotion from Division 3 next season, I'm sure. But from a Down point of view, it could end in a very good year for Down football, getting promoted to Division 2 and then winning the Tailteann Cup. It'll be a brilliant year for Down football if it does happen.
Yeah, and I think obviously Conor Lafferty is the right man to lead the project forward. And obviously, we see a clip of Marty Clark even on the cameras yesterday. My God, what a man to have about the place, and Caelan Mooney back. So I think this is where Down football should be at. Obviously, very much a Calvin, very good kind of football background tradition. This is where they should be at. They should be back in Division 2. They should be even back competing even for Ulster titles again. They should be really winning this Tailteann Cup. I know Laois will have a lot to say about that the next year. But look, I think this Down football is it's where it should be now. Obviously, a very strong Kilcoo team, a lot of strong players there too. So yeah, I think this is where Down football needs to be, and they are motoring very well. Obviously, hard luck to Sligo. They put on an incredible effort in Croke Park yesterday, but just came up short, unfortunately. And Sligo's year is done, and Down year continues. And then the other Tailteann Cup semi-final, Mr. Hurley, it was Antrim 1-13, Laois 3-12. Antrim really did give this game a good go, Matthew, it has to be said. Obviously, in the end, Laois had other thoughts on that, and obviously Laois, did perform very well. A lot of people potentially were kind of going towards Antrim for this particular game, getting the win, but just it didn't unfortunately happen like that. It was a good win for Laois, and on to go to the Tailteann Cup final in a couple of weeks' time against Down.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been a great turnaround for Laois more than anything. Like, they finished second in their group, conceded 8 goals in the semi-final last year. We're very, very close to getting knocked out by New York as well. But ever since the Kildare game, their confidence has gone up. And you have to give Justin McNulty a lot of credit for this, winning the Division 4 title, getting the confidence back into the players, and then to go on this run of the Tailteann Cup all the way to the final. And when you have 2 forwards in the form that Evan O'Carroll and Mark Barry are on, Mark Barry's the top scorer in this competition with 3 goals and 18 points. Evan O'Carroll is only 2 points off Derek Kieran as the top scorer from play. Only needs 3 goal or 3 points to overtake him as the top scorer from play. Like, 2 of them are outstanding players. And Brian Byrne obviously to get 2 goals as well. He's stepping up to the plate. Kevin Swain as well. I think he scored 1 or 2 goals in the 8-goal demolition by Down last year. And for him, 12 months later, to score a goal to win the game for Laois basically over Antrim, it's just a fairy tale story. And to be fair to Laois, you have to give them credit for getting over the line. As I mentioned, Evan O'Carroll was brilliant, James Kelly, Niall Dunn, Killian Roach and goal has been a revelation from a Laois point of view. I think he's been superb in this competition as well as the league campaign. So fair play to Laois. Look, Antrim, they beat Fermanagh last week, unexpected to do so. you have to give Andy McAtee a lot of credit for reaching 2 Tailteann Cup semi-finals in a row. Just wasn't to be on the day for them. They have some good players like the Rory McCanns, the Patrick McBrides, who scored 5 points in play in this game, which was a brilliant showing by him. But ultimately, wasn't enough. And fair play to Laois for getting over the line this one. They will be underdogs going to the final against Down. But with Evan O'Carroll and Mark Barry in your team, there's always a chance.
Yeah, because I remember Evan O'Carroll and Cavan played Laois in a Tailteann Cup game there last year, and Evan O'Carroll was a complete handful for that Cavan back line, so he is a fantastic footballer. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very good Tailteann Cup final now in a couple of weeks' time. I think it'll go right down to the wire once again, but I just don't know. Obviously, Mr. McNulty against Mr. Lafferty along the line, that'll be a very interesting duo. So yeah, it's going to be a very good Tailteann Cup final, Mr. Early. It has to be said, and we're all looking forward to it in a couple of weeks' time. And then, Mr. Early, this weekend, it's quarter-final time in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship. Hard to believe, but this is the format, and this is what we have to go along with on Saturday, the 29th of June, Mr. Early. It's Dublin against Galway in Croke Park at 6:15, and of course, the game will be live on GAA Go. Huge game. Absolutely huge game for both teams. Can Dublin keep going on, go for another All-Ireland, and go up the steps of the Croke Park, of the Hogan stand? And obviously, Galway have a big chance. And we were saying a couple of minutes ago, obviously with Shea Walsh and Damien Comer, the fitness of both of them men is going to be absolutely key for this weekend. But look, we're really looking forward to it. I think Galway always give Dublin a good run for the money in Croke Park. Let's hope to do the same.
I'm just hoping for a good game because we had 2 games in particular last year, as I mentioned previously, Kerry against Tyrone and Mayo against Dublin, which were absolute damn squids. They ended up being hammerings. Armagh Monaghan was a disappointing game as well, went to penalties. Okay, the excitement there. Derry Cork was a very poor game as well. I'm just hoping for good games this weekend, John. Obviously, Cork aren't involved. I'm just hoping for a good weekend of Gaelic football. And I think this might be the game to do so because these are 2 sides that play front foot attacking football. And to be fair to them, I hope to God that Galway have their best starting 15 there. The likes of Shane Watts, the likes of Damien Comer, Matthew Tierney, John Maher, Cian Darcy, put the ball out the field and see where it goes from a Galway point of view. But Dublin have the firepower up front. Conor Collins, the top scorer from play with 410, is going to be a threat in this one as well. Cormac Costello's in the form of his life. Colin Baskin's really, really good at the moment. Brian Fenton, the names that roll off the sheet from this Dublin team is scary. And Stephen Cluxton there to calm things down in goal as well. You feel like nothing is stopping this Dublin team. And I think the Saturday night throw-in will actually suit Dublin more than Galway because the Dubs fans would obviously go in their thousands, go into the hill. It'd be a full packed house. And Galway fans might think about not travelling and things like that because of the cost of living, the cost of hotels and stuff like that to stay overnight for that unless they book the train, that is. But yeah, I think the hill will be absolutely rocking in this one as well. I think actually the double header in this one, I think Armagh Roscommon is on Saturday as well. This will be a sellout, John, because between Armagh and Dublin fans.
Yeah, it's funny. I think was it Daniel Hussey was saying there earlier on. It was a Pat Nolan from the Daily Star. They were saying basically if you had these games in provincial grounds, if you had one of these games in Breffni Park or some other, and I think that'd do the towns and everything so good. And I felt like tweeting the boys back saying stop talking so much sense. But again, you do make a very, very good point. We probably, do you think it'd sell out or will we be looking at 60,000-70,000?
I genuinely believe this, John. I think Saturday night will be a sellout. Okay. Because of Dublin and Armagh fans. Armagh fans, I've seen them up close. So I've seen them obviously in the game against Galway in 2022. The absolute scenes there was absolutely incredible, and they will come in their droves. There's no doubt about that, Armagh fans. And even there was more in a league game. Actually, there was more Armagh fans came down to Páirc Uí Chaoimh to watch their team than Cork fans in the ground.
Yeah,
which just shows you. And that was a nutting league game. They are an absolutely brilliant bunch, in fairness, for supporting their team. And obviously Dublin, it's right in their doorstep. They can easily walk into the game. Look, just to stop with the jokes with Croke Park and things like that. But Galway, look, I think Galway will be happy enough with this team, and the hurlers are now out. I think they may as well make a day out of it in Croke Park. Roscommon might as well. So I think this could be a sellout. But I think Sunday, John, will see the problems. I think Kerry won't travel. Derry, maybe not. Donegal will travel their droves, to be fair. And Louth have a great support base, but obviously it's a very small county with a small population.
It's a day out for the Louth people, yeah.
It's a brilliant day out, to be fair, to say the least. But once you have a county that is small in population, and you have a county that only buy tickets for the semi-finals and the final. Semi-final, if you're lucky, that just spells disaster in Croke Park because the seagulls will just fly around the place, and it's
Yeah.
just that's the thing.
They were
You know?
flying about the place yesterday. My God, there was so amount of like, but even like, oh man, like at the top, like there was no. And I think the players deserved better yesterday. I think at the Croke Park, and I know me and you have this conversation numerous times, Matthew, but the Croke Park been so soulless and dead yesterday. Like you'd wonder. I think so. Who's it? Was it Kevin Kennedy said a couple of weeks ago? Like the amount of money it probably takes to run Croke Park in a day like that. And I just think we could be a bit of critical thinking regarding some of these days out. But look, we're banging our heads against the wall at this stage, Mr. Hurley. At this stage, but I don't know. But regarding this game, if everyone is top of the pops for Galway, can Galway do it?
I'd love to say yes to your question, John, because they play brilliant football, Galway, and I always admire Power Joyce as a coach, Rob Finnerty. Watch it. They're absolutely outstanding players, and they deserve an All-Ireland semi-final, potentially a final. This Dublin team are really, really good, though. They are absolutely, like, even against Mayo, when the game was there to be drawn, Kieran Kilkenny catches with a clutch catch in the last few minutes. Cormac Costello was the whereabouts around them to fist it over the bar and get that draw that they needed. And I just feel like this Dublin team, that the players that they roll off the sheet, the players that are scoring at the moment, the likes of the Bascales, the Costellos, the O'Callaghan's, like they're absolutely outstanding at the moment. And I just can't see anything other than a Dublin win at this. But is the thing that I'd actually give Galway a bit of hope about is when you look at Dublin, when they've come up against teams that are near enough to their level or on their level in the before the quarterfinals this year, Louth got them to 4 points. Like they scored 2 goals past them in the Leinster final. Roscommon really tested them in the first half, but then when Roscommon started to push up, the dam broke. But up until that point, Roscommon were in the game. And then against Mayo, they could have easily lost that game, played David's advocate. If Kieran Kilkenny doesn't catch that ball, Dublin would have been in the preliminary quarter-final. So I just feel like Dublin in this championship so far, they are struggling a small bit against these type of teams. That might be an avenue that Galway could pounce upon and get over the line this one. You'd love it to happen, but I just can't see. I just feel like Dublin will win this game by. I think it'll be a tight one. I think it'll be about under 5 points anyway. I hope it's under 5 points. I hope to God Johnny won't be over 10 points, and hope the Galway lads aren't tired, because I just want a good game of football. I want Galway to give it to Dublin in this game. Hoping they will. And I think they will. I think it'll be under 5 points. Eventually they'll lose but they'll go down in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, no, because I know obviously Galway getting to that All-Ireland final in 2022, but like, do you feel now, and obviously like, with the stages of Shane Walsh's and Dave McComer's career, maybe, Power Joyce, I'm presuming he will be there next year, like after the decent year, a good year that he's had this year. Do you feel for Galway to try win an All-Ireland, and if everyone's fit, if Dave McComer's fit for this weekend, if Shane Walsh is fit as Matthew Tailteann, if everyone is ready to rock this weekend, do you, like, I wouldn't say like the last chance saloon, but do you feel for this core and crop of players, potentially Peaches, maybe last dance with this Galway, if he's there next year, God only knows, do you feel if they want to win an All-Ireland, this has to be the weekend where they push on and say, right, I know Dublin, it's a mammoth task, Croke Park, it's nigh on sometimes impossible to beat them Croke Park at times. I know Mayo done a couple of years with so on and so forth, but do you feel now has to be the time for Galway, or am I maybe overselling it a bit?
The thing is, and you make a very good point, like especially with Comer and Walsh, they were under 21 against Cork at that final in 2013. So, by my calculations, that would make them 32 this year, both of them. So, like, it is a last chance saloon for them in particular. Robert Finnerty, maybe not, still has another year, a few years left of the clock. Matthew Tailteann is still a young player. Tom O'Callaghan's still a young player. Paul Conroy's a definite one. Like, if he's going to win the All-Irelands, this might be the year to do it, because he's been knocking about for a few years now. Like, he was in Galway teams, I've seen on GA Go during the week that he was on Galway teams along with Michael Bean that lost several games in Croke Park in a row. And that's how long he's been in a Galway shirt. He played minor 2007, so that was a long time ago for Paul Conroy. So, like, there's a lot of minds on the clock for him as well. Like, you feel like for this Galway team, they probably have to win it this year or next year. That is probably the last chance to do for them. And like, like they won kind of titles over the last few seasons. The next step is obviously to win the All Ireland. This current group of players are definitely capable of doing it. I think they have outstanding players all over the pitch, defence, attack, midfield. I think they have as good a team as any in the country at the moment. And yes, they might be complaining that they drew Dublin in the quarterfinals, but sometimes you have to beat the best to be the best. And I think Galway need to do that this weekend. They need to pull their socks up and get over the line in this game against Dublin. It's a big game for them. Look at the ages of the likes of Cormac watching, especially Paul Conroy. So be interesting watch.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. So yeah, that's I feel, as you say, you make a very good point. I think if they don't win it this year, okay, maybe next year's probably last chance. But I just think, as you said, the clock probably is ticking for a lot of them players. So it'll be very interesting to see can they do. But you're obviously going with Dublin.
I am. Yeah, I think it'll be under 5 points, but it'll be a tight game throughout.
Absolutely, Mr. Hurley. And then in the other action on Saturday in the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship quarter-final, it's Armagh against Roscommon in Croke Park at 4 p.m. And, of course, game will be live on GAA Go. Mr. Hurley, Armagh are back in this situation once again. And I just don't know, as I was reading that game out, everything just suggests, and I know Armagh supporters might just throw me under the bus for this, everything suggests this could really go to full hog and go to penalties again. I don't know what it is, Armagh and All-Ireland quarterfinals, but I think this will go to full hog again. I'm not sure, but I think Roscommon, Davy Burke, they're going to be up. They're going to be mad to upset the party, mad to upset the odds. A potential All-Ireland semi-final on offer for them. I think this will go to full hog again. Once again, you get good value on a draw, I'd imagine.
I think if Armagh mess this game up, it's like Kieran McGeeney has to go. It's as simple as that. Like, I just think, like, it's so many years, Armagh play brilliant football. They're like the neutrals' favourites. They play absolutely front foot football. Their fans are absolutely painting Croke Park orange. You'd love them to do well. But it's just a tendency to bottle it every single time in a crucial game. You look at Derry in the Ulster final last year. They had that game with the grasp of their fingers, lost that game. Donegal, they were well in control in that game, lost that. Even in the league final, Donegal, even without Ryan McHugh and Paddy McBrearty, somehow managed to lose that game. Against Monaghan last year, like, it was almost like Armagh weren't prepared to go to battle with Monaghan last year, which was the worrying thing for them. I do think Monaghan were the better team last season, and I think they deserved that win in the penalty shootout. You'd surely think, from an Armagh point of view, they have to go all guns blazing from minute one. If they don't do that, Roscommon could see an opportunity. And look, Davy Burke will go into this game this weekend and think, we're under no pressure here, lads. Dermot Murtagh, Conor Cox, if they shoot well, and if they convert, let's say, 4 or 5 points in the first 10 minutes, the doubt will start to creep in Armagh's minds.
And I think it's like, Johnny Murtagh will kill us for saying this, but I genuinely think it's all set for an upset. Like, because I think when Armagh get inside of Croke Park, and we've seen them against Donegal in the league final this year, and they just went back in amongst themselves, and like, you know, if Armagh do what they done against Galway last week, Galway again, but if they do what they done against Galway the last day out against Roscommon this weekend, I think that could be warning bells, warning signs. Like, if they just have a Croke Park-esque performance like they've had the last couple, as you said, Roscommon smelled blood, Davy Burke smelled blood, the Fords smelled blood. So I think it's going to be an upset, or to go to full hog. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. Like, one part of my brain is saying that Armagh will mess this up and Roscommon win on penalties or win by a last minute point for Dermot Murtagh.
Yeah.
Another part of my mind is thinking Armagh play free-flowing attacking football. They get over the line eventually, and they prove what a good side they are.
But I don't think they'll do that. I just think they'll F about, and they'll do this, and they'll go defensive, and they'll play within themselves, and they'll not have a Derry-esque performance, and they'll just let their supporters down again. Like, this is what if you're an Armagh supporter, this is what the eventualities you have to prepare yourself for.
I thought they were turning a corner going to the Ulster final this year, funnily enough, against Donegal. Because remember the game against Down, they got it to the shooter, Conor Turpin. I know that was a brilliant play from an Armagh point of view. They ran down the clock, they got it to the shooter in the right place at the right time, and put it over the bar to win that game in the tight, tense situation. I thought going into that Ulster final that Armagh turned the corner. But then the same things flare up again. lose on
Yeah,
penalties, and it's just
exactly.
that's the thing that worries me about Armagh. They are a better team than Roscommon. Let's call
Yeah.
a spade, player for player. And manager, to be fair as well, Keir is a much more experienced manager than Davy Burke is. Armagh have a better team. They have a better
Mm.
starting 15 than Roscommon, and they have a better bench as well, players to come onto the pitch. There's that bottling mentality, though, and I think it takes one All-Ireland quarter-final win to change the whole perspective on this Armagh team.
Well, it's a psychology thing, or like it's just the Croke Park thing. When they get to this stage, it just seems like the I don't know, the just falter really.
Exactly, yeah. It's this sort of bottling mentality. I don't know what it is from an Armagh point of view. Like even in the quarterfinal last year, Keir trying to get a guy from Monaghan sent off at the end of the Dublin. Remember that, John? It was almost like a sense of frustration was seeping into the Armagh game as well.
Yeah.
And these sorts of things will creep in. Look, I think I regret saying this probably by Monday morning or Sunday morning, whenever the game's over. I just think Armagh have to win this game. They
Yeah.
have to. Like
Well,
if they,
McKinney, they have to. Like they have to, because like if they don't, all the talk of Kieran McGeaney, blah blah blah, the players get the flack. So there is pressure on them to win it. And as you said, look, they got beaten by penalties and just fine again this year. The pressure coming from that game, and then obviously the Derry game they played amongst themselves, and then they went back into the shell against Galway. So look, if they aren't to get over the line on Saturday, I'd imagine that's probably the end of the road for McGeaney after his 15 billion a year in charge of this team.
I think it's an absolute definite. If he doesn't reach the All-Ireland semi-final, like I said at the start of the year, if Armagh do not win an Ulster title or they don't get to the last four, bye-bye.
Yeah, I think so.
I said last year to Aaron and to yourself and Seamus that Keir McGeady, I said to the Armagh fans, excuse me, give him time. Give him time. He's an outstanding coach. He's done well with Kildare in the past as well. He's got the Armagh to this position, taking them from D to C to B. It's all about taking them to A now. It's almost like like in soccer with Manchester United with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's took them Manchester United from C to B. He didn't necessarily have the tactical genius to take them from B to A. And I feel like that's the same thing with Keir McGee, both with Kildare and Armagh. I just feel like a win in this Saturday would be a massive turning curve for Armagh to get the job done. And I think Roscommon, I think Davy Burke would be absolutely loving this.
Yeah, 100%. But and he's such a confident manager. We see his post-match interviews. He's not afraid to say what he thinks. He will love this week. He will love to upset the odds. And I just think when I was reading out the fixture for this weekend, I just said it's going to be an upset or it's going to go the full hog, and Armagh feck it up again.
I'm so torn on this, John, because like I clearly
it's like the more you think about it, it's like,
like it's like Armagh. If you were saying this, looking at the starting 15s of the and the benches, you would say at the historical performances in the past 2-3 seasons or whatever, you would say Armagh all day long. Considering Roscommon got relegated this year, they only got their first real fantastic performance last weekend against Tyrone, and you just worry about the 7-day turnaround. But then there's that mentality in the Armagh heads.
Yeah.
Like it's look, I'm going Armagh. I'll go for Armagh to win this game.
After all that.
Exactly.
I know it's tough. Yeah.
Predicting Armagh is how would you describe it, to be honest? It's like
my God, I don't know. What? I don't even know. For England to feck up at the Euros. Would
possibly,
that be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I think there is, yeah. I don't know. Look. Oh Lord, I don't know. I think Davy Burke will love this week. He loved the preparation. He'd love to upset the odds. He'd love to right a few people wrong. I could just see this going to full hog, and Armagh public, if you want to chase after me, no bother. I think Roscommon will actually just either win this after extra time or win on penalties. I just can see Armagh fecking up again.
Be interesting to see what the lads at the group chat actually say about this, John. I'll be really, really intrigued.
Yeah.
Because like do they go with the mentality issue or do they go with the players on the pitch?
Look, if Armagh, if they play the way they did, like that Donegal game as you referenced, if they play this weekend like they did against Derry, say the Derry game, prime example, out of their skins, amazing performance. If they do that this weekend, right, Armagh's go home and host. But if they go back to this negative nonsense, Roscommon are going to smell blood, and I think, yeah, you're probably looking at an upset. But look, it's going to be a good one on the weekend, and it's going to be live on GA Go. And then Sunday's quarterfinals, Matthew, on the 30th of June, All Ireland Senior Football Championship quarterfinals. It's Kerry against Derry in Croke Park at 3:15. And of course, the game will be live on RTE for everybody to watch. And look, again, very tight game to call once again. Derry with a wounded animal. That animal has crept up again. Kerry haven't been tested yet. What's going to happen, Mr. Hurley?
First of all, look, it's strange times on the Sunday. Do you think, John, 3:15, 1:15?
Very weird.
For the All Ireland quarterfinal,
especially for people travelling up. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel sorry for the Donegal and Louth fans more than anything. For a quarter
night before job, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. That's almost the morning time. Let's be honest. Like it's like you see that last week at the hurling, Cork and Dublin was on the exact same time, and the Turles just looked soulless. So I just worry this Croke Park atmosphere on Sunday. I have no worries about Saturday's atmosphere, but Sunday's atmosphere might be something to be concerned about. So, but look at the game. Look, this is a mouth-watering clash between two sides that you would have said would have been up there challenging Dublin. The most intriguing part of this game is when you look at the sides that Kerry have beaten so far, they haven't beaten anybody of note. Okay, they trashed Louth, but to be honest, Louth were taking you ahead to the preliminary quarterfinal, so maybe you couldn't judge Kerry on that day out. So it's very, very hard to judge Kerry. But having said that, though, they're the only team in the last day to have a 100% record.
Yeah.
So is that down to them playing weak opposition? We'll have to see this Sunday. But I think the 8 days for Derry is absolutely vital, especially after the penalty shootout shenanigans that they went through against Mayo last week. I think the extra day will do them the world of good going into this.
And it's funny, actually, because I was thinking to myself, Joe, like the supporters come on the pitch afterwards, and everyone comes on, looks for pictures, looks for autographs, looks for this interview, so on and so forth. I thought Biggie Hart was going to get, because I think Jim McKinnon's done this with Donegal after Donegal won a game, just get off the pitch, we have a game next weekend. I thought Hart would have done that, because it just oh my God, the Derry supporters, obviously, it's great to see, and it's camaraderie, so on and so forth. But I thought Biggie Hart, get off this pitch, we have a game next weekend. But he thought different.
He did, yeah. I suppose it was the performance that Derry players needed, and it was probably the reaction that the Derry players needed as well from the fans, because they have got a rollicking over the last few weeks, and 2 wins against Westmeath and Mayo turned their season completely around, and they're going into this Kerry game under a bit of confidence now, and they'd have to think of a different plan to last year. I know they put Chrissy McKagan, David Clifford, didn't really work that well, and you would argue Chrissy has regressed this season. So the question mark is, who do you put on Mr. David Clifford this time round? Like, you look at the programme there, Dermot Baker's a good young player, Conor McCluskey usually goes up forward, so would he have the temperament to mark up David Clifford? Would you put Owen McAvoy back on him? Like, it's an interesting dynamic here from a Derry point of view, but there are more forwards in the Kerry team. Tony Brosnan's absolutely brilliant this year, hitting the lights out after his injury. Sean O'Shea is doing very well in the freeze as well. Killian Burke, he's young, he's raw, he's still a good player though, and Dermot O'Connor in midfield as well. So Kerry do have talents across the team, and there's no point in saying they haven't played nobody and things like that, and they're overrated. Kerry are still Kerry. Once they get up to Croke Park, it clicks. You look at the Tyrone game last year, everyone thought, Tyrone are going in under a bit of form here. They'll come under the radar and smash Kerry, but then the momentum comes with Kerry. David Clifford scores a few points, does a bit of an overhead kick on Paddy Hamsey, and then Sean O'Shea hits the back of the net, and it's almost like it was embarrassing for Tyrone last year. You'd be just worrying from a Derry point of view that it doesn't happen. I don't think it will because of the 8-day turnaround. I think that's vital from a Derry point of view. I still think Kerry will win it though, but I can definitely see Derry turning them around this weekend, because Kerry, as I mentioned before, haven't played anybody of note since, I would argue, in the league, possibly Dublin and Croke Park at full pelt.
Yeah.
And they conceded a a load that day. So there's always a chance that Derry turn them over.
Yeah, there is. Like, and I think obviously with this Kerry team, and obviously my God, if Derry to win, I think the backlash on Jack O'Connor and that Kerry team, because the pressure, all Ireland's is all the talk here coming out of Kerry. So my God, if Derry were to turn Kerry over this weekend, it'd be one of the upsets after the kind of the last couple of games. Derry have had two decent wins last time, but I think this is potentially a step too far for maybe with Derry moving at the minute. As you said, Kerry click when they get inside of Croke Park. Obviously, the Cliffords going to be on show this weekend, Sean O'Shea. So, again, it will be very, very kind of tight game to call. I think it'd be some crack, some laugh nearly if Derry were to turn Kerry over. But no, I think Kerry will get over the line. It'd be interesting to see, obviously, the former David Clifford again. Good to see that man, Croke Park, once again. But yeah, looking forward to that one this weekend. Make no doubt about it, Mr. Hurley. And then the last game of the weekend, you have Donegal against Louth at Croke Park at 1:15. Of course, game will be live on RTE. Louth's first ever All-Ireland quarter-final. Make a stat of that. Make a note of that. Unbelievable achievement for them to be this far. Ger Brennan, after Mickey Hart leaving last year, has done a remarkable job. Obviously, him, Ger Brennan, Niall Moyna, very, very strong backroom team there. I think it's Dan McCartan there too. So look, I'd be thinking Donegal will be getting the win here this weekend. I'd be fairly sure of it, but I think Louth will give a good account of themselves. But I think down the home stretch, Jim McGuinness will be bringing that team into an All-Ireland semi-final.
It's going to be a difficult one to judge really from a low point of view, because they obviously put in so much into that game in the scheme yesterday against Cork. Do they have the same energy going to the Donegal game next week? And Donegal, obviously 2 weeks rest, possibly even more, because that Clare game, let's be honest, in Castlebar, John, that was a turkey shoot. So you couldn't really judge Donegal on that. They haven't had a serious game since the Cork game in Parky Rin. That's a long time ago. So I just feel like Donegal are coming into this at the right stages. Jim McGuinness will get them fired up. I just feel like Donegal will get over the line. But more than anything, John, I want Louth to have a good account of themselves once they reach this stage. Yes, it's all well and good reaching the quarterfinal for the first time in your history and potentially or the semi-final for the first time since 1957. But like, this is a big game for Louth people just to congregate around Croke Park. And I think, I said it as well in Enniskeane, there was tears in Louth, the fans' eyes as well. They were absolutely ecstatic after the win, and they will enjoy Sunday. I hope they enjoy it as well. But I hope their team will give them something to shout about come the weekend as well. And they put a statement in and do well against Donegal. Like, after all, Louth did beat Cork, and Cork beat Donegal as well in Parky Rin. So, like, joined by that, I know, as Seamus Brady always usually says, GA Matt doesn't add up, but at the same time, that might give the Louth players a bit of confidence that they could even take this Donegal side. If Sam Roy gets a lot of frees, he'll knock them over. Like, he's a over 80% free taker per game. Like, he's a guy that if he's on form, he'll be difficult to stop. And Craig Lennon as well from the wing back role. Like, Louth do have the players. It's just, can they put up that extra bit of gear in when they need it against Donegal? Having said all that, though, I still think Donegal will win the game regardless. But I hope Louth give a good account of themselves on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be class here for the Louth public, the Louth following, the supporters. Like, to get up to Croke Park after all this time, a great win against Cork, obviously, yes, and yeah, it'll be a fantastic day out from. It would be great to see kind of Sam Roy and Conor Grimes step up. But I think Jim McGuinness, this Donegal journey is going to be very interesting. I know a lot of people a bit of premature talk about winning All Ireland potentially, but look, I think Donegal will get the job done this weekend against Louth. But look, it'll be a great day for Louth following, Louth supporters, Louth players, management, everyone, and we wish all the teams the very, very best luck this weekend. All Ireland quarter-final time, Mr. Hurley. We're looking forward to it. I suppose to wrap up, Mr. Hurley, as usual, your player to watch this weekend and bet of the weekend.
Player to watch is I think I'm going to go for Cormac Costello for Dublin. He has the potential to fire in this quarter-final. I think he's on brilliant form at the moment. I definitely want to watch. There's not much games for a surprise of the weekend, I guess, but if I think worth putting money on potentially is Roscommon overcoming Armagh for the obvious reasons.
I think so.
I think these are the picks this week.
Yeah, I think so. Or even a draw there potentially, and then after extra time, and then penalties. But the Armagh public will be after me and you, Mr. Hurley. Make no doubt about it this weekend. Mr. Hurley, where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram, X as it's called, not Twitter. Thank you very much, Elon Musk there. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube as well. I have my YouTube channel, just over 300 subscribers, so subscribe to that if you haven't already. And I have my own website as well. It's the Gaelic Statsman website. There's the link tree on my Instagram and X as well account, so check that out if you haven't already too.
Happy days. He is doing unbelievable work. It's been found everywhere. It's been seen everywhere. So keep up the good work, Matthew. And we were looking forward to this games this weekend. We can't all wait for them. Well, Matthew Hurley from Gaelic Statsman, thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast brought to you by yourgarage.com, who's a generic podcast. Get 15% off on the website coming into the Tailteann Cup final time and all Ireland quarter-final time. Hard to believe we're at the time of the year. Get yourself organised at yourgarage.com. Mr. Hurley, thank you very much. Have a great week.
Thanks very much, Sean.